yourself to be a conformist, or are you more of a rebel? Most of us probably like to think that we are conformist enough not to be considered terribly strange or frightening, yet nonconformist enough to demonstrate that we are individuals and capable of independent thinking. Psychologists have been interested in the concept of conformity for decades. You can see why when you remember that psychological research focuses not only on explaining human behavior, but also, and perhaps more importantly, on revealing the cause of it. The effect of people's willingness to conform to others can help us a great deal in understanding the source of people's behavior. When psychologists talk about conformity, they refer to individual behavior that adheres to the behavior patterns of a particular group of which that individual is a member. The usually unspoken rules of guidelines for behavior in a group are called social norms. If you think about it, you can probably remember a time in your life when you behaved in ways that were out of sync or in disagreement with your attitudes, beliefs, or morals. Chances are, whenever this occurred, you were part of a group in which everyone was behaving that way, so you went along with them. Conformity is a powerful force on our behavior and can at times cause us to behave in ways that, left to our own devices, we would never do. Therefore, conformity is clearly worthy of interest and studied by behavior scientists. However, no one undertook to study conformity scientifically until the early 1950s. Enter Solomon Asch. His experiments on conformity offered us a great deal of new information about conforming behavior and opened many doors for future research.
Suppose you are with a group of people you see often, such as friends or coworkers. The group is discussing some controversial issue or political candidate. It quickly becomes clear to you that everyone in the group shares one view, which is the opposite of your own. At one point, the others turn to you and ask for your opinion. What are you going to do? The choices you are faced with are to state your true views and risk the consequences of being treated as an outcast, to agree with the group consensus, even though it differs from your opinion, or if possible to sidestep the issue entirely. Ash wanted to find out just how powerful the need to conform is in influencing our behavior. Although conformity often involves general and vague concepts such as agreeing with others' attitudes, ethics, morals, and belief systems, Ash chose to focus on a much more obvious type, perceptual conformity. That is, the extent to which humans tend to conform with one another's perceptions of the world, what we see, hear, taste, smell, and touch. Ash chose to study conforming behavior on a simple visual comparison test so that he can examine this phenomenon in a controlled laboratory environment. If conformity is as powerful a force as Ash and many others believed, then researchers should be able to manipulate a person's behavior by applying group pressure to conform. This is what Ash said about testing in a very elegantly designed series of experiments, all incorporating a similar method.
Method. The visual materials consisted simply of pairs of cards with 3 different lengths of vertical lines, called comparison lines, on one card, and a single standard length, the same length as one of the 3 comparison lines on the other. Here's how the experimental process worked. Imagine you are a participant who has volunteered to participate in a visual perception study. You arrive at the experiment room and find 7 other participants already seated in a row. You sit in the one empty chair at the end of the row. The experimenter then reveals a pair of cards and asks you to determine which of the 3 comparison lines is the same length as the standard line. You look at the lines and immediately decide on the correct response. Starting at the far end of the row away from you, each participant is asked individually for his or her answer. Everyone gives the correct answer, and then when it becomes your turn, you give the same obviously correct answer. The card is changed, and the same process happens, and once again, no problem, you give the correct answer, along with the rest of the group. On the next trial, however, something odd happens. The card is revealed, and you immediately choose in your mind the correct answer. This all seems quite easy, but when the other participants give their answer this time, they all choose the wrong line, and they all choose the same wrong line. Now, when it is your turn to respond again, you pause. You can't believe what is happening. Are all these other people blind? The correct answer is obvious, isn't it? Have you gone blind? Or crazy? Now you must make a decision. Do you maintain your opinion? After all, the lines are right in front of your face, or do you conform and agree with the rest of the group? As you've probably figured out by now, the other 7 participants in the room are not participants at all, and actually confederates of the experimenter. They were in on the experiment from the beginning, and the answers they gave, of course, were all predetermined, and they were key to the study of conformity. So, how did the real participants answer?
Okay, so here we have a standard line X and 3 comparison lines A, B, and C. And what I want you guys to do is tell me which of the comparison lines is the same as X.
It's definitely A.
Yeah, I think it's A.
I think A.
Okay, now I'm going to have you guys do the same thing. Tell me which of these comparison lines is the same as X.
It's C.
Yeah, it's definitely C.
C.
Each participant took part in the experimental situation several times. Approximately 75% went along with the group's incorrect consensus at least once. For all trials combined, participants agreed with the group on the incorrect responses about 1/3 of the time, just to be sure that the line lengths could be judged accurately. Individuals in a control group of participants were asked simply to write down their answers to the line comparison questions. Participants in this group were correct 98% of the time.
Ash's works on conformity has received a widespread support and acceptance. It has been replicated in many studies under a wide variety of conditions. One criticism concerns whether Ash's findings can be generalized outside of the lab and to the real world. In other words, does a participant's answer in a laboratory about the length of some lines really have very much to do with conforming behavior in life? This is a valid criticism for all research about human behavior that is carried out in a controlled laboratory setting. What this criticism says is maybe the subjects were willing to go along with the group on something so trivial and unimportant as the length of a line, but in real life and on an important matter they would not conform so readily. However, although real-life matters of conformity can certainly be more meaningful, it is equally likely that the pressures of conformity from groups in the real world are also proportionately stronger.
One fascinating study incorporated Ash's 1955 article to examine why men are less likely than women to seek help, even when they're in dire need of it. This article begins with the following old joke. Why did Moses spend 40 years wandering in the desert? Because he wouldn't ask for directions. This joke is funny because it taps into a stereotype about men and help-seeking behavior. Of course, failure to ask for directions usually does not cause serious problems, but men also tend to resist seeking medical and mental health care, and that can be dangerous or even fatal. The author suggests that one of the primary forces preventing men from seeking help is conformity. In the context of help-seeking, men may be disciplined to seek help if they believe they will be stigmated for doing so. If a man greatly admires the people in his life who discourage or speak badly of seeking help, he will be less likely to seek help. On a final note, culture appears to play an especially important role in conformity. Research in collectivist countries such as Japan or India has consistently found higher levels of conformity than individualistic countries such as the United States. Such findings add to the ever-growing body of evidence that psychological research must never overlook the impact of culture on virtually all human behaviors.